stop it. I pretend I do not know. Maybe I talk too fast, maybe it's just too slow. What in the world I said to you, dear? First you say take it all, nothing left for you.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Haber. It's a great pleasure to introduce you to my independent study during December. The research work that I'm planning on doing all orients around a primary vision of creating full-time work for myself, working on the level that I really want to be working with my community, doing the transformative work that has most deeply impacted me in my life. And in order to do that, I'm synthesizing this. This is also through my educational system, and I'm utilizing the resources available to provide credibility to the experiential work that I'm doing. Track 1, researching coaching tools and teaching them. So that'd be a research-based presentation. I'd be bringing people in for research on the synthesis of these different coaching tools and presenting them. And that would be custom creating curricula and presenting it and working on an integral lens and working within an integral lens to develop the 4 quadrants of one's relationship. And then the 4th quadrant would be Joanna Maceys' work. Track 2, researching the bridge between permaculture and Joanna Maceys' work and illustrating it. So this would be taking Joanna Maceys' work, taking the permaculture principles, getting an understanding of them, bridging them, getting feedback from other people who are in the field, forwarding it, evolving it, and then creating something. It could be a wiki document, but something that can be used to illustrate this difference to all people invested in permaculture. And I'd like to see that happen on a Wikipedia format or in an open source format in some way. Track 3, researching the bridge between Awakening the Dreamer, Changing the Dream Symposium, and Joanna Maceys' work, and illustrating it. Now, the Awakening the Dreamer Symposium is it treads lightly in the domain of the emotional process on the collective level, which is, as it illustrates, one of the key doorways through which individuals can accentuate their desire to do social change work and also move their desire to do social change work into a shift it so that its motive and the engines and the fuel that are feeding it are sustainable, so that social change work is sustainable by accessing forms of energy which are not polarized, such as compassion and insight into the radical interdependence of all phenomena. Track 4, developing a curricula and teaching a common circle. So that's basically just creating 4 different sort of curricula outlines that I can use to go to common circles and present Joanna Maceys' work. Track 5, documenting any and all adaptations to Joanna Maceys' work and getting her review on them. So taking note of any way in which I want to adapt or change her work, writing out where it came from, how I would do it, and then submitting that to her for her approval so that the people where I want to present it can look at her approval on the document and say, oh yeah, that's still Joanna Maceys' work. In addition, that can be a contribution towards her book. Track 6, bridging the expressive arts therapy architecture with the global journey. So that's looking at the expressive arts therapy practice and architecture that I've learned, and actually having individuals look at, okay, where are we at and what's possible and how do we bridge that gap, and then taking that journey of 8 hours through 12 disciplines or whatnot as the Earth Society, as humanity. Track 7, adapting Joanna Maceys' work to specifically serve the expressive artist community, the individuals who want to create songs, poetry, dance, or other forms of expressive arts as a vehicle through which to aid humanity in fully meeting the challenges, the evolutionary challenges of this moment in our history. Ideally, I want to allow the work to generate the content and the states of consciousness that are conducive to our survival and our fully meeting this challenge and self-correcting the discordance that is contributing to where we're at on a global level. And I'd like to bridge the inner work that comes from doing Joanna Maceys' work with the outer expression of our poetry or art or dance. And if I can create a platform to bridge those two and aid people in continuously creating unique, raw, authentic art, pieces of expressive arts to serve the community, then the objectives of the class will be met. A bonus track that I'm going to put on here is public speaking skills, to take a class somewhere and study public speaking skills and be regularly creating presentations and presenting them to a group and getting feedback through that vehicle. Those are the main pieces. Those are the 7 tracks currently of the vision of creating the vision that my independent study has created for me, full-time work, presenting Joanna Maceys' work. And again, this is an adaptation or a synthesis of Joanna Maceys' work based on the results of the research and what I learned and what I'm able to articulate, and then again getting sort of approval from Joanna Macy that these sort of adaptations still, in her eyes, serve the underlying objectives of the work that reconnects, and therefore can still be considered work that reconnects. Or in some cases, if they do diverge, which really isn't my intent, then we create a new label to encompass it. So that's it.